Alright, so a lot of you guys wanted to see a video on a 2S conversion of the GEPRC T-Cube18. So I've got the 1S version here and I've converted it into a 2S version. The flight controller, as I mentioned in the review, is a 1 and 2S board, so it can do 2S no problem. So I didn't really change much here. I simply cut off the A30 connector that was on here, which is for 1S batteries, and I put on a BT 3.0 connector. You can put an XT30 on there if you want and use regular 2S LiPos with an XT30 connector. I decided to go this way. It's a little bit lighter. I built some of my own 2S packs here with the BT 3.0 connector there with some wires. These were previously 1S 530 milliamp hour packs with the GNB27 connector from, I'm sorry, it's PH 2.0 connector from GEPRC. I just peeled off all the stickers and heat shrink and then put 2 cells in series here to make a 2S pack with this connector here. And so flight time is significantly higher now. I did also change the BlueJay firmware. It's now 48 kilohertz instead of 24 kilohertz. So I know a lot of people were up in arms about the flight time, and that, as I mentioned in the review video, is because they put 24 kilohertz firmware on there, which doesn't make much sense because that is much less efficient, especially on this small micro motors like these. And so simply going to 48 kilohertz and putting in a little bit of a motor output limit is probably going to get you a ton more flight time on 1S. Wasn't really interested in testing that because I already know that that's going to be the result. If you did that on your 1S T-Cube18 and that didn't happen for you, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to know what happened there, because if you went from 24 kilohertz to 48 kilohertz and you put in a 80% motor output limit, you're probably going to get more than 4 to 4.5 minutes of flight time on the 1S, is my assumption. I didn't test that, of course, but you already know that 48 kilohertz is way more efficient. So I did do that on this 2S conversion. I upped the BlueJay firmware from 24 kilohertz to 48 kilohertz, and I added a 60% motor output limit because it's on 2S now. And I put the thrust linearization thing. I think I put that in there like 20%, I believe. Put it up on the screen here the settings I changed, and I think that's it. Those 2 settings I think that's in the PID tuning tab, and then I flashed the 48 kilohertz firmware, and that's all you see here. And then I added the BT 3.0 connector, and then I'm using these 2S LiPos, and I'm getting 5 minutes of flight time. I'm running the battery pretty low. I have it set to like 3.2 volts, but then the battery recovers back to like 3.5 volts. So that's per cell, which is fine. I think that's more than acceptable for a 5-minute flight time on this. And it could be a little bit more peppy. Like if you want to do more freestyle, you can increase the motor output limit from 60% to say like 65%, and it'll give you a lot more punch out power at the expense of flight time. So instead of 5 minutes, maybe you'll get down to like 4.5 minutes. And of course, you can go even higher, 70%, increase the KV even more, and decrease the flight time. So that's the trade-off you want to make. So you can kind of play with that and see what suits you. And this is how this battery fits on top here. It's a pretty good fit. Just plugs right in. Now these rubber bands here are kind of made for 1S batteries, so a little bit thick. So I think if you get the 2S version of this, which comes with 18,000 kV motors, I suspect they'll come with bigger rubber bands. Not a big deal. It still works. They're kind of stretched out. So I'm not sure what happened to crash, but it is what it is. I have the 1S version, so they have smaller rubber bands for 1S batteries here. But I mean, overall, it flies really well, and you get more flight time on the updated ESC firmware. And I think 2S is the way to go. So if you're wondering what to do, I would just go with the 2S analog version and just get just use your standard like 450 2S XT30 batteries, and you're going to get pretty much what I get here. And I would, if they haven't already, I bet GEPRC is probably going to update their next batch with the 48 kilohertz firmware. I would check that. If you have the 24 kilohertz firmware, just go to 48 kilohertz and you'll get more flight time. And that's pretty much it. So here's the flight footage for you. You guys check it out. Got any more questions about this, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.